Assalamu alaikum. I'm Zaina Maharoof, and I'm going to be interviewing you as a part of TASMiNA's interview series with professionals. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Wa alaikum salam. I'm Dr. Sithy Maharoof. I go by my middle name Faleela within the Sri Lankan community here in the United States. I was born and raised in Kandy, Sri Lanka. I started out in a local school but attended Good Shepherd Convent, Kandy, from 8th grade and up. I took math as my major in high school, and when I finished my A-level exams, I was selected to attend the College of Engineering at the Maharoof campus, but for reasons that were beyond my control, I had to attend the science faculty at the University of Peradeniya. Now, this worked out really well for me because University of Peradeniya was only about 4 miles from where I lived, and also I found out that I had a great passion for science, in particular for physics. About my personal life, I'm married and live with my husband and 4 children here in Baltimore, Maryland. Professionally, I am an associate professor of physics. In addition to being a professor, I also serve as the program director for the associate degree in my college.
Could you tell us what led you to choose this profession?
Becoming a college professor was not something that I had planned before, but I started to have some interest right after high school. Right after high school, I was trained as an English teacher and I was able to teach in a public school for a short period of time. So when I went to college, I majored in physics, and for the first 4 years, 4 years in a row, I was awarded the merit scholarship, and I completed the program with first class honors. So this helped me in securing a lecturer position in that same college. So that is the first time I had an experience in teaching in an undergraduate institution. Teaching, I found, is challenging, but at the same time also was rewarding. And I loved the higher education atmosphere. So that is where I guess I started to have some interest in teaching at a higher education institution.
And what made you make that decision to come to the United States?
Like I mentioned earlier, completing the BS degree in physics with first class honors opened the doors for me. Even before I graduated officially, I was appointed as a lecturer. But to advance in my career, I had to complete a graduate degree. And unfortunately, in Sri Lanka at that time, we did not have a strong physics program. So I had to think overseas. And that was the time I also got married. And thankfully, my husband, Dr. Umar Maharoof, also had completed a degree in chemistry with first class honors, and he had already started his graduate program in the United States. So for me, to come to the United States for my higher education was a natural choice.
Having left your family and your birth country, how did you start out here in the United States?
Like many graduate students from overseas, we had to build our lives from bottom up. I started out my Ph.D. program at Wayne State University, Detroit, Michigan. Thankfully, as soon as I joined the program, I was also appointed as a teaching assistant. So I was able to support myself financially. I also had selected my advisor at that time. She was a female physicist. She was a tenured professor, an avid researcher. And also she managed, or she juggled her life and the work perfectly. So she was a great role model for me. After I finished my degree at the Wayne State University, I continued my research work at Texas A&M University as a research scholar for 1 year before I moved to Pennsylvania.
What would you say are the challenges of being both a professional and a mom?
Well, this is where I had a major setback in my academic career. As we were alone here without extended family members, building a family was very important for me. So we were blessed with 4 children, and so to raise them, I had to take off from my work. So I had to stay away from work for about 8 years. So that introduced a huge gap in my resume. So that was a huge challenge for me.
That's a long gap in your career. Usually long gaps like that in a resume makes it hard or difficult to find a new job. How did you proceed from there?
Well, while I was raising my kids, I also made sure I stayed afloat in my field. I did some tutoring in physics. I also attended conferences. Even though I did not have anything to present, attending conferences helped me um, to help me to understand what is going on in the world of physics in the research field, and it also allowed me to network with the professionals. So that was the reason why I attended conferences. I also did something else. I wanted a plan B in case if I did not get into academia in higher education, I would be able to teach at least in high school. So I enrolled in a physics teacher certification program and completed it. So if I wanted to, I could teach in high school as well. One more thing I did is during that period is to write a book. I wrote a praxis prep book for physics teachers, prospective physics teachers. And so that is another thing that I did during that period. So this is the book I wrote.
So, how did your actions during this break lead you to the next step in your career?
Fortunately, through a network, I heard about a tutoring position at a 2-year college in Philadelphia. So even though that tutoring position was a low paying job that did not suit a PhD holder, I accepted it because I needed to get my foot in the door. Sometimes you need a springboard, and accepting that low paying tutoring position was my springboard for the next steps in my career. Now, in that same place, I worked as a tutor. A part-time teaching position opened up, and because I had built some good reputation within the science department, they immediately hired me, and so I was able to teach as a part-time adjunct faculty for about 2 years before I started to apply for full-time positions elsewhere.
I know that you're also involved with some charitable organizations. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Growing up, I saw lots of people in poverty. It broke my heart to see hungry people, especially elderly, looking for a few pennies, to feed themselves or feed their families. And those pictures are etched in my brain. So recently, I joined some like-minded people in my community to form an organization, a charitable organization called Community Compassion USA. Um, it is at its early stages right now. Through this program, we have been able to feed about 1,500 hot meals so far for the needy or homeless people. We are planning on establishing food pantries in various locations in our neighborhood. So the main goal here is to support the people who are right around in this region, in the Baltimore region. I also am passionate about guiding the youth from Sri Lanka. And so that is why I use every opportunity I have to help out with TASMiNA projects. I also have been well connected with the TASMiNA youth camp, annual youth camp, and I have directed that camp for 2 consecutive years in the past. And I'm hoping to continue to support this amazing organization going forward.
And based on what you shared with us, what advice would you give for those viewers who are starting out their career journey?
I could give a few points. Number one, don't be discouraged by family tasks or obligations. If you have to and if you are able to, take a break. But make sure to keep up with in your field. You could do a part-time job, or you could follow or sign up for a course that can strengthen your knowledge and skills in that field. So that's number one. Number two, seek out for a role model. Now, when I joined my degree program even way back when I joined the graduate program, I knew that I needed a female role model because physics is a field that is dominated by men. So that is why I selected my advisor to be a female physicist. So seek out a role model. And number three, I would say have grit. Having talent is good, but talent alone does not lead to success. It is the passion and perseverance that lead to success. So those are the 3 points that I want to make.
Well, that concludes my interview. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think that's all I had to say. I would like to thank TASMiNA for including me in this interview series and giving me the opportunity to share my story with the community. Assalamu alaikum.